Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Amirul Fikri bin Abdul Aziz, and today I will talk about the case study on total collapse of a 6-story reinforcement concrete building. Before I start, I would like to introduce my group member. That is me, Amirul Fikri bin Abdul Aziz, Muhammad Zaki bin Roslan, Muhammad Hassani bin Hamid, Muhammad Adi Hamka bin Saiful Amri, and Amif Imran bin Rajab. This case study is about the investigation on the structural failure that leads to the total collapse of a 6-story reinforcement concrete building. The building housed multiple local institutions and establishments such as office, nightclub, and bank. This collapsed 15 years ago and had killed many people that were in the building at that time. There are 3 types of collapse building tests that we can conduct, such as Brenner hardness test, sieve analysis test, and Smith hammer test. So the procedure for vinyl hardness test is, the vinyl hardness test is performed in the vinyl hardness test setting unit. In this test method, a predetermined force is applied to a fixed diameter tungsten carbon ball and held for a predetermined period of time, then removed. The special indicator creates an impression on the test metal sample. This indentation is measured over 2 or more diameters and then averaged to obtain the indentation diameter. Using this indentation size, Brenner hardness number, found using a table of calculation using a Brenner hardness test formula. Next is sieve analysis test. First of all, clean the sieve of the sieve shaker, record the weight of each sieve and sieve pen, dry the specimen in oven for 3 to 4 minutes, wet the specimen and record its weight, arrange the sieve in order as small opening sieve to the last and large opening sieve at the top. Allow the shaker to work 5 to 10 minutes, remove the sieve stack from the shaker and record the weight of each sieve and sieve pen separately. Lastly is Smith hammer test. The point of impact should be around 20 mm away from any edge of shape discontinuity. For taking a measurement, the rebound hammer should be held at right angle at the surface of the concrete. Rebound hammer test is conducted around all the points of observation on all accessibility surface of the structural element. 6 readings of rebound indices are taken and average of this reading are taken. These are an example of a collapse building. It happens in Onitsha, Anambra State, Nigeria. The cause of the collapse is poor quality concrete mix and compaction method used for works. The reinforcement bar size used for the columns were not to specification, and concrete and steel were inadequate bond. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Hassani bin Hamid. My matric B19EA0024. Here, I want to share a structural design and analysis part in our case study. Structural analysis is a truth-of examination that ensures the deformation by load in a structure are acceptable and within permissible limit, and that the structure will never fail. So to do an analysis, structural engineer must know the load, forces, stresses, and moment acting on a structural member. So, firstly, I would like to explain generally what is a type of load that basically acting on a structure. Firstly is dead load. Dead load is a structural load that contains that constant magnitude over time. That means dead load is permanently attached to the structure. The example of the dead load is self-weight of a structure like beams, like column, and many other members. The procedure of determining the dead load occur in structural member is an iterative process. Next is live load. Live load is a movable load or temporarily attached to a structural member. Live load include the load that created by furniture, occupancy, and impact. The live load generally smaller than dead load. Basically, the value of dead load and live load has been given in the Eurocode that used by engineer. Lastly, we have the environmental load. Environmental load is a load that caused by nature force like rain, wind, snow, or maybe earthquake. That also important to consider in the design. Okay. Next is a step for analysis of a structure. Firstly, we must know about the structural idealization. Next, we apply the load, whether it's a dead load, live load, or environmental load. Next, we calculate reaction and internal force to get their internal stresses. And lastly, we evaluating and checking the efficiency and safety of the members. Okay, lastly for my part is a structural analysis method. Many methods can be used to perform a structural analysis, and this depending on the structure under consideration. It also depends on the situation of the problem. Firstly is force method. Force method is used to determine the internal force and reaction in statically indeterminate structure. The force of the frame analysis is based on transforming a given indeterminate structure into a statically determinate primary system and calculating the magnitude of statically redundant force. And next method is a displacement method that required to writing the unknown displacement in terms of load using the load displacement relationship. After that, the equation will be solved by equilibrium equation. Example method that follow this method is a slope deflection method, moment distribution method, and direct stiffness method. And next we have a cantilever method that especially for high-rise building. And last method is a finite element method, where this method firstly developed by aircraft industry to determine the structural capacity of airplane. Concept for this method is the derivation of the structure into the finite element method, divide a complex problem into smaller parts. Then we determine the degree of freedom, because the displacement of load on the corner of each finite element can be used by explain the degree of freedom. Because of the applied load, each corner desire to be displaced. Internal force that acts negatively on the element as a result of the applied force are referred to as structural stresses. Structural stresses can be defined as the internal force and internal force that work negatively on the element as a response to the applied force. So thank you from me.
Good morning to our lecturers. My name is Muhammad Zakir bin Huslan. Today I will present about maintenance part. Maintenance is the process of ensuring that buildings and other assets retain a good appearance and operate at optimal efficiency. Inadequate maintenance can result in decay, degradation, and reduced performance, and can affect health and threaten the safety. Maintenance are important because to prevent the process of decay and degradation. Second, to determine the causes of defects and so help prevent reoccurrence or repetition. Third, to prevent unnecessary damage from the weather or from general usage. Maintenance of building may be classified in three categories. First, routine maintenance. Second, preventive maintenance. And third, remedial maintenance. Routine maintenance is to keep the structure functional and safeguard it from early degradation. It must be maintained on a regular basis. A structure is made out of various parts that are placed in various locations and are composed of various materials. All of these are prone to natural degradation as a result of aging. During the design process, the members' lifts are assumed to be routine maintenance. From the case study, installation of any additional loads need to qualify by engineer to examine and check their performance. Preventive maintenance entails operations that are necessary to keep the structure steady and sound, as well as resistant to early degradation or damage. The term preventive maintenance refers to the process of improving the quality of a structure construction in order to make it more durable and functional. From the case study, visible care accident occurred in different floors of the building years before the total collapse. This gap should be filled with concrete to prevent future damage. After that, these filled-up gaps must be under observation to see how they progress. The removal of any decay or damaged element of the structure as well as the removal of any flaw in the structure is referred to as remedial maintenance or repairs. The structure may display signs of degradation or distress due to a variety of factors. Action for repair or restoration work should be conducted without enabling the potential of flaw to worsen, causing significant structural damage. The cause and exact location of the defect or damage need to be made sure before proper removal. Otherwise, it may lead to serious damage in future.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I will explain about building by the law. So, building of the law refer to a city or municipal law or ordinance that passed under the authority of state or federal law specifying what things may be regulated by the municipality. Okay, for uniform building by law are secondary law passed by local authorities, which is like Majlis Pembandaran, Majlis Daerah. So, this law may be cited as Uniform Building by Law 1984, UBBL 1984. So, now we go to function UBBL 1984. So here I have two main functions of UBBL. First, a set of rules that specify the minimum acceptable level of safety. So, from the UBBL, we can get a minimum requirement of safety such as fire, structural, and etc. Next, building by law apply not only to architect and engineers but other parties such as insurance company, environmental department. So UBBL is important to many parties that involved in construction building. So this is 9 part of the UBBL 1984. So in this case, after we investigate, the building collapsed because of failure of structural. So as we can see in part 5, structural requirements are important to get safety requirement of the building.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to my lecturer. My name is Alif Iman bin Rajak and I will talk about the safety requirement for the study of total collapse of a 6-story reinforced concrete building. So for the introduction, the Department of Occupational Safety and Health is a department under the Ministry of Human Resources. They are responsible for the administration and enforcement of legislation related to occupational safety and health of the country. For the case study given, the building was collapsed after 15 years of completion. The cause of the collapse was improper piling work. Next is piling. The pile used in the case study was concrete pile. So I will talk about the piling procedure. Pile tip must be fitted with pile shoes prior to driving. Pile shoes are considered reinforcement for the pile tip and are intended to prevent damage to the pile during driving. The need for pile shoes is assessed during design and indicated on the plan when dense soils or hard driving conditions are anticipated. Pitching and driving. The pile should pitch accurately and driven to the line and level as shown on the drawing. If the piles deflected from vertical, it shall be extracted or repitched by the superintending officer until the right line is reached. The contractor must ensure that the pile heads are appropriately protected and always be centered with the hammer. If there is cracks or fissure appear in the pile, it shall be rejected. Stand-on supervision shall be required to ensure all activities and the sequence be proceed in a proper and safety manner. Next is pile setting. The superintending officer will advise for the final set should be recorded either as the penetration in millimeters per 10 blows or as the number of blows required to achieve a 25 mm penetration. For final set measured, this requirement must be met. The pile's exposed portion must be in good condition, with no damage or distortion. The dolly and packing must be in a good working order. The hammer must be aligned with the pile axis, and the impact face must be flat and perpendicular to the pile hammer axis. The hammer must be in a good working order and operate properly. The pile must be temporarily compressed and documented. Lastly, for the conclusion. This picture shows the pile during equipment. For the conclusion, the contractor should follow the guideline provided by Department of Safety and Health to avoid any issues. Thank you very much. That's all for me.